Hey everybody, it's Tony and I'm back with part 2 of this video. I said that if the first one got a lot of attention that I would make the second one because this is a 16-minute clip and I turned it into almost a 30, almost 40-minute video. I didn't mean to do that. I just lose track of time when I get going, and maybe I should start a timer so I know how long these videos are going to be. So I'm sorry if it was too long for you. Before I get started here, I said in my previous video as well that I was looking at ways to set up a donation system and create a Twitter and an Instagram account. I did create a new email. It's bigtbariatric@gmail.com. So if you want to send me an email, if you have any requests that you would like to send me a video that you want me to react to, go ahead and do that online. The link to my email is in my About section. I also created a PayPal Me donation center, so if you want to donate to the channel, again, I'm not trying to pressure you guys. I almost feel uncomfortable saying this, but many of you did say that you would like to donate to the channel, and so I set that up. It's also in my About section. It's very easy to do. I am working on getting a Twitter going and an Instagram. I've just had a difficult time doing it because for some reason, because I have an Instagram account and I did have a Twitter account, a personal one, trying to set up a new account with the same information and a new email, it's very difficult. Like, it's not registering correct, so I'm not very technical. I'm trying to figure all this out as we go, and I'm still working on maybe doing a Patreon type thing, and maybe selling some merchandise. I'm trying to maybe create a logo, stuff like that. So me and my team, we're working on all of this. We do have that Discord. We've had a bunch of more people join our Discord, so I'm very thankful for that. If you want to be a part of the community, you would like some accountability, some help with your weight loss, some support, or you just want to support others, come in and have some fun with a community, listen to music, have fun playing games, stuff like that. That's what our Discord community is all about. So we are really growing in size, and I'm so thankful for every single one of you who are trying to support our channel, who like and comment everything, who just show me all kinds of love and everything else like that. And if you do decide that you would like to join our community, you're very, very welcome. It doesn't matter who you are. And if you even want to send me hate mail through my email, I don't care. But maybe there's some things that I need to learn, maybe some books I need to read, something that I need to grow in. So I'm very much willing to say that I don't know everything, and there's some ways that I need to grow as well. And so, hey, if there's something that you dissent on or you don't agree with me on it and you want to send me something so I can learn, or you're willing to have a debate on it or something like that, maybe we can turn one of my live sessions into a discussion type thing. I'm open to anything. I'm an open book. I'm willing to talk about anything. So anyways, with that being said, I'm going to do part 2 of this video, and I'm going to watch the rest of it, and I'm going to try my best not to turn it into another very, very long video. But again, I hope you enjoy this, and we're going to start right where we left off in part 1. So if you're just now seeing this, there is a part 1 just below this. This is part 2. So we're starting right now.
When we are not reflected, we are implicitly not valued.
Right off the bat here, I totally disagree with that. You're not going to be able to represent every gender, every color, every type of person, big or small. Like, you're not going to be able to do that. And just because it's underrepresented doesn't mean you're not valued. You're still loved as a person. You're still cared about. We still enjoy your company. I don't sit around and say, oh, there's not enough fat people in the media. There's not enough fat people in the movies. There's not enough fat people as TV anchors. So I just don't feel loved because of that. Really?
Because of that colonial umbilicus to white Protestant Christianity, fatness represents a profound moral failure, one that implies laziness, overindulgence, and repulsiveness.
Well, that's kind of something that I'm changing. I'm trying to change with this channel, because there is a connection to addiction. There is a connection to trauma. There's all kinds of connections. There's a genetic component to obesity. So it's not 100% about laziness. But it does get to a point when you are becoming so obese that you are bedridden that, yes, there is a part of laziness associated with that. Because there are people, you've seen them on YouTube, maybe they eat for a living and they eat tons of food, 10, 20,000 calories in one sitting. They do that for a living and they are skinny as a rail. And that's because they work out and they don't eat that way every single day. So is there a moral failing with being obese? In a lot of ways, yes, because you're eating enough food that can feed 3 or 4 people in a single day. So add that up throughout a week, how much food that you're eating. That is a moral failing. As much food as I used to eat, as much money as I would spend on food, I could have helped so many different people. I could have fed so many poor people who live here. I'm in the Flint area in Michigan. There's a lot of poor people around. I live in the nicer side, but there's still a lot of people. My church does a lot of work giving to these people. We help donate to the Carriage Town, which is a homeless shelter here. We pick some people up. We take them to our church, and we love on them. And not too long ago, we made a bunch of turkey sandwiches and went out and drove around and gave food to people. So, you know, I'm not bragging about myself or my church. I didn't do that. I wasn't there when that happened. But yeah, being part of a church community, like we give so much of ourselves to people in need. And the fact that I was eating as much as 2 or 3 people in a single day is just repulsive to me. And then you get people who just say that there's no problem with that. There's no moral failings. I'm just going to eat what I eat because I'm addicted to it and I don't care. I don't care what the consequences are. Everybody else is wrong. That's a moral failing. Because you're so self-entitled, you care about yourself, you put your addiction above your family, as we saw in the last few videos, you put your addiction above your marriage, you have people waiting on you hand and foot, and you think there's no moral failing there? I mean, if you're 5, 10 pounds overweight, no big deal, okay? Maybe you struggle with your hormones, getting that last 5, 10 pounds off is really hard. I can understand that. You're trying, you still live in society, you work, you do what you can, you take care of your kids. But when you get so big that you can't even get out of bed, or like you're Stephen Asante, you can't even get up to turn a light off and you're going to scream at your nurses, that's not a moral failing.
But the punishment for such a transgression is not simply being denied beauty or sexuality. It affects income, career opportunities, and medical access in ways that have needlessly imperiled and even killed otherwise healthy fat people.
I can't believe her. Again, as I said, I've had no lack of access to medical care. And I'm not saying that's not true in other states. Maybe your state is a lot stricter. But I've been on Medicaid for several years. I've had a doctor. I've had every access given to me that I needed. The only thing I couldn't do was get my knees taken care of. I'm still waiting to get an MRI done. But my doctor told me there's absolutely nothing we can do for you at your size. You have to lose weight because even if we did knee surgery on you to fix your knees, it's not going to last. Like, you're going to re-injure them really quickly because your weight is what caused the problem in the first place. Even though I did tear a ligament playing football when I was a lot younger, like, there's nothing they can do to fix that. So if you're so big that you cannot receive medical treatment, that's not the medical community's fault. That's your fault. They're trying to tell you how to get healthy. They're trying to tell you that you need to be concerned about your health, and your weight is causing all kinds of problems. But you refuse to see that. So you see that as a failing of the medical community instead of your own failing. And it's ridiculous. You're not denied sex. There's plenty of overweight people who get sex. I don't know the logistics of that, but hey, I don't get sex and I'm totally fine with that. I'm somebody who waits until I'm married because I believe that's important to me. If you don't believe that, that's on you. That's fine. I'm not going to judge you for that. I don't judge anybody because of that, but myself personally, I'm not somebody who wants to sleep around. I don't want to date around. I want to meet that one special person. I want to get married, have kids. Like, that's who I am. That's the kind of person that I am. And so I guess I'm kind of denying myself sex. I don't know, but it's just ridiculous to say just because you're fat, you're being denied all this stuff. It's like, if people aren't attracted to you, they're not going to have sex with you. They're not going to want to be with you. You might find somebody who's a feeder who, wants to take care of you and make sure you stay big because they have a sexual fetish with big people, but that's not love to me. I want someone who's going to love me for me and who's going to be attracted to me. So that's part of why I'm losing weight. And there's so many people here who've commented, man, you're definitely going to find a wife one day, and you're just so handsome, and you're a wonderful guy. And I don't want to say a hard time hearing that. I've just never heard that before. So that's very new to me. So there are people who find me attractive and say that I'm a great guy, as I am right now. Plenty of you would probably date me right now if I lived in your area or whatever. But hey, I'm open to online dating and getting to know you and whatever. But anyways, I'm very, very flattered by the nice comments. But you can be big and be found attractive. But just because other people do not find you attractive, that's not their fault. Like, people like who they like. They're attracted to what they're attracted to, just like you.
Ellen Maud Bennett was a fat gal in entertainment, just like me. She owned a vintage clothing shop, and she worked as a costume designer in theater, film, and television. For several years, Ellen just didn't feel right. Something was wrong, and she returned to her doctors over and over again, only to be turned away and told to simply lose the weight.
What's wrong with that? That's the cause of most of your issues if you're overweight. Yeah, there is a genetic aspect to diabetes and cancer and stuff like that. You can be born into a family that has some defects or just has common diseases like heart problems and stuff like that. So I'm not saying that all that is the cause of obesity 100%. But obesity does cause those things. There's a genetic link for sure. But obesity is linked to cancer. Obesity is linked to heart disease. Obesity is linked to blood clots. Obesity is linked to diabetes. Obesity is linked to strokes. And that doesn't even include the high cholesterol and the pain and the agony and the sores and the infections that come with it. So if your doctor tells you need to lose weight, that's not discrimination against you. That's your doctor knowing the facts over your feelings, knowing the facts that you must lose weight.
For people of color, this callousness may sound familiar. Fair and ethical medical access is a systemic problem that affects Black and brown communities in devastating ways.
Again, maybe it's different in other states, but here in Michigan, if you're poor, you can get on Medicaid. I've been on Medicaid for the longest time, for many years. As I've struggled financially, I've had all the health, I've had all the access I've needed. There's doctors on every corner here. I've never had a problem going to the doctor's office. But I'm not going to say what the Black community has been struggling with. That's not my place. So if you guys have been struggling finding access to medical care, then I really feel for you, and I'm really sorry about that. I know not every state is like Michigan, but I assumed that most states do have access to Medicaid for the poor. There's rides to the hospital. I almost got a job with one recently, but I found out that you have to do a lot of lifting of people out of wheelchairs, and I wasn't able to physically do that yet, so I was not able to get that job. So I am looking for employment. I'm trying to find something I can do online until I lose enough weight that I can do a normal job. And YouTube might become my full-time job. I don't know. We'll see what happens with this. But I'm definitely looking for a full-time job because my writing job is not secure. It's not stable. I don't know when I get paid because I'm waiting for my editor to correct my work, and that could be weeks from now. So I'm definitely looking for a job. But because I cannot work on my feet, I can't find a stable job right now. Yeah, my income is lower. I have to find what I can get online. I've been lucky to find the jobs that I have so far, but like I said, I don't know when I'm getting paid. I don't know when I'm going to be assigned work. I don't work a regular 9 to 5, and I'm looking for that kind of job. But my weight prohibits me from doing that. That's my fault that I'm overweight and I can't find work. They're not going to hire me if I can't physically do the job.
Most of all, Black women. By the time someone was curious enough to investigate properly, in 2018 they found Ellen riddled with cancer. She died within days of her diagnosis. Her tragically preventable death is only one example of the problematic obesity goggles that doctors wear. From the beginning,
How do you know that her obesity didn't cause the cancer? It could have. I mean, if you have a horrible diet and you eat a lot of sugar, well, sugar feeds cancer. And so a lot of people who are cancer patients, maybe not all of them, if you've had cancer, let me know if I'm wrong, but they would probably give you a specific diet to help fight the cancer. It may or may not work. They'll try radiation and different stuff, but there are certain diets that will help you fight the cancer. So there is a connection between obesity and cancer. And trying to get her to get healthy and to lose weight was going to help her fight her cancer. If there's nothing they can do about cancer, because some cancers are untreatable, she was going to die anyways. She died within days, she said. Like, you're going to die anyways. But trying to lose weight and get healthy, like, that's only going to make you healthier and make you physically better able to fight off the cancer. Because if you're big, you struggle to breathe, you are unable to exercise. Like, you need to be able to do those things.
Beginning of their training, practitioners are so focused on weight that they fail in their only real task, to provide ethical, evidence-based care.
You're denying that there's ethical, fact-based care in trying to get people to lose weight? I'm sorry, but a lot of people's conditions are related to obesity. I've been saying that over and over again. It's ethical to tell people you need to lose weight. What's not ethical is lying to them and putting their feelings over facts because you don't want to hear that fat people are unhealthy. You don't want to hear that. So you think it's unethical to tell them that. You're the one who's wrong here, lady.
Instead, selling and pushing dangerous weight loss drugs and procedures. But how dangerous could it really be, right? It's a doctor. Well, the FDA issues its approvals based on a risk-benefit analysis, or the higher the perceived risk, the more dangerous the treatment is allowed to be. And because our fat-phobic culture wildly overestimates the risks of being fat,
It does not wildly overestimate it. Again, there's a lot of younger people who are obese who are having no health problems whatsoever. That happens, okay? It's like smoking. You're not going to get disease from smoking right away, and some people might not even get disease from smoking. But there's overwhelming facts that if you've been smoking your entire life, you're more susceptible to getting lung cancer, to having all kinds of issues. They want you to stop smoking before you have surgery for a reason, because smoking prevents you from healing. Like, smoking does a lot of damage to your body. And the more you've been smoking and the longer you've been smoking, the harder it is to quit. You develop this addiction, and that addiction can lead you to a lot of problems. You can have your teeth fall out. You can have all kinds of mental issues from smoking, and health problems, and struggle breathing, and all that stuff. Like, there's a huge connection between smoking and disease. In that same way, obesity is that way. Like, there's a connection between these things. It can take decades, but you'll get there. You can start off smoking and have no problem, but you will eventually get older. Your body's going to start breaking down earlier. The same with obesity.
companies are allowed to manufacture extremely dangerous treatments. The FDA to date has approved of amphetamines, swallowing balloons, and the mutilation or otherwise removal of healthy organs.
And the reason why they do that is so many people are so desperate to lose weight, they're willing to swallow balloons and take pills and do what they can. They'll do everything except try to lose weight the healthy way. They want the magic pill. They want the special thing that's going to, they click their fingers and boom, they're skinny. They want to be skinny immediately rather than doing the work. So I'm advocating that you need to do the work. And you might say, well, Tony, you got weight loss surgery. Like, you're not doing the work. I lost 100 pounds beforehand. The weight loss surgery is just a tool. There's still a lot of work after weight loss surgery, and there was a lot of work before weight loss surgery. I had many months of seeing the dietitian and getting tested and seeing a psychiatrist and doing all this work to get to the point to where I could get approved for surgery. I had to get ready for that. I had to overcome my food addiction and get right mentally, because afterwards, if you don't fix those things, you can gain weight, you can stretch your stomach back out, you can kill yourself. So yeah, weight loss surgery is dangerous. That's why I didn't get it 10 years ago when I had the opportunity. I was scared. But weight loss surgery is saving my life right now.
Weight loss surgery, not uncommonly, ends in death or in lifelong misery.
Not uncommonly, the risk of death is very, very small. Like, look at the stats on that. I looked at them all before I got weight loss surgery. I wanted to see what was the risk of me dying on the table or dying afterward. It's like 0.0 something. Very, very, very small risk of death as a result of weight loss surgery. Maybe it was higher before, but now it's very, very small. It's the most commonly routine surgery out there today right now. There's no other surgery done more than weight loss surgery. So doctors are used to it. They have programs now. They work with you. They get you to a point to where you're ready for weight loss surgery. That's why they have you lose weight first. A lot of people are like, well, if you could lose weight before, then you don't need weight loss surgery. Well, you have to get to a healthier point. You have to show that you're able to overcome your mental part of why you're gaining weight. So weight loss surgery is relatively safe. It's safer than probably most other surgeries out there. But it still comes with a risk. People still do die from it. But that's just any other surgery. People die from cosmetic surgery, getting nose lifts and breast implants and stuff like that.
My friend, health coach, fitness instructor, and marathoner Reagan Chastain was prescribed weight loss surgery to cure her type 2 diabetes, her high blood pressure, and her mobility problems.
There's an 85% chance after weight loss surgery that all of your symptoms of diabetes and high cholesterol and high blood pressure goes away. 85% chance. Which tells me that 85% of those diseases are probably caused by obesity. So if 85% of your 85% chance of those symptoms going away, well, that tells me that a lot of those symptoms were caused by obesity in the first place.
When she politely informed her doctor that she had none of those conditions, he was like, LOL, maybe it'll just make things easier dating-wise. But the harm doesn't stop.
Maybe because she was younger. That doesn't mean there wasn't a connection to those things, that in the next 5-10 years that she wouldn't develop those problems. I mean, yeah, if you're so big that a doctor is recommending weight loss surgery because you struggle with your weight, why are you taking that as offensive? He's trying to get you to a point where if you can't lose weight on your own and you keep gaining weight, then yeah, he's going to say maybe you should consider weight loss surgery.
Stop there. Not only are doctors all too willing to prescribe dangerous fat interventions, they are less willing to prescribe viable treatments if they have a possible side effect of weight gain. Instead, they push poorly researched weight loss schemes, 95% of which fail over a 5-year period.
Because you have to do the work. If it fails, it's because you didn't do the work. You were unable to overcome your food addiction. You were unable to stick with a diet. Even with those pills, if you look on the bottle, and I've tried many of them, it says use with a, what's the word? You must do it with a diet, an exercise program. Like you can't just take a pill and expect that it's going to do all the work for you. You have to diet, you have to exercise, you have to have the willpower and the discipline. And you're going to have to do it. There is no magic pill out there. They might help you out. They might help you process your fat and break it down easier. They might help you out with your blood sugar issues. Because if you have diabetes, it's much harder to lose weight because of the insulin and stuff like that. So yeah, those pills try to help you, but if you just take them as a magic pill and expect them to do all the work, they're going to fail. That's why a lot of them fail.
The only proven effect, time and time again, is that weight cycling ravages mental health, destroys heart health, and increases cortisol, the stress hormone that is actually linked to diabetes, hypertension, and heart disease. But even outside of the doctor's office, fat phobia is rampant in everyday life. In 2008, waitresses at Atlantic City's Borgata were fired for losing weight. And they were left with no legal recourse because weight discrimination is not protected anywhere in America except for Michigan.
Well, I live in Michigan, so they were fired for losing weight. Well, that just kind of goes to prove my point from earlier that there are certain careers that require certain looks, certain sizes, or whatever. I mean, if you get a job where you're expected to be overweight, or you get a job where you're expected to have big breasts, or you get a job like Hooters or something, or you get a job where you're expected to be skinny, like a movie star or something like that. Like, hey, there's jobs out there for overweight people. I don't know what kind of job that is. That sounds kind of sick to me, but hey, there's jobs out there, and if you lose weight and you lose your job, well, you didn't fit the qualifications of that job any longer.
Not only are fat employees not protected from being unfairly fired, they also face fewer employment opportunities and promotions. Forbes reports that only 13% of female CEOs are fat. When we take a look at the Fortune 500, there is not a single female fat CEO to be found.
So, you're trying to put a connection there? I mean, if fat women become CEOs, there's no problem in that. But if thin women are more driven, I'm not saying they are more driven, but maybe they're able to do more. Maybe they are more driven. Being a CEO is a very tough job. You're running the entire company from top to bottom.
In the rest of the workplace, a Yale study found that fat women earned 6.2% less than their thin counterparts. For men, that discrepancy is only 2.3%.
Again, it's not a fat phobic thing. I mean, if I legitimately cannot do a job, I'm not going to get hired. And the higher up you get on the pay scale, the more demanding that job is. And so if I can't even do the basic stuff physically, how am I going to be able to manage a group of people? How am I going to be able to manage the entire company and run the whole thing? It becomes harder and more hectic and more demanding the higher you go up. And the bigger that you are, the worse you're going to be able to do that job. So maybe people who are at the basic part of the pay scale, they're not driven enough to get a promotion, to move up in the pay scale. That's not being fearful of fat people. That's something you did to yourself.
And while a Harvard study found that implicit bias in the workplace has decreased over time towards people of color and LGBTQ employees, it has unfortunately worsened over time for their fat counterparts. These are the conditions that entertainment
Probably because people are getting bigger and bigger. So that implicit fat phobia is rising.
contributes to when we don't allow fat bodies to be reflected in positive ways.
What positive way can we reflect fat bodies? Again, there are social consequences. There are physical consequences. There are health consequences to being obese.
Enter a dark horse. Instagram, a social media phenomenon with a twist. Instagram offers an exclusively visual diet, and unlike Facebook, it is essentially meant for following people that you don't know. People from all backgrounds, people with all bodies. Studies show that changing our visual diets changes what we find aspirational. So, fun fact, did you know that Instagram is actually full of super aspirational, thriving, fat, happy, sexy fat people? Hashtag BOPO, hashtag fat and happy, hashtag F your beauty standards. They have all led to increased awareness of the body positivity and fat acceptance movements. It's led to the year of Lizzo. It's led to Savage Fenty fashion shows.
That's because all these fat people are finding all the other fat people who are miserable. And so they're all getting together and joining each other's Facebook pages and Instagram pages, and they're kind of having their own community. Just like we're building a community here, they're building their own community. So there's a lot of people out there who, instead of wanting to get healthy, which is what I'm preaching, they're preaching the opposite. You can be fat and beautiful and you don't have to lose weight. And so all the other fat people are like, hey, I agree with that message. I'm going to stay fat too because, it's everybody else's fault. We need to change society instead of changing ourselves. So yeah, you can find a community of people who believe and look and talk just like you, no matter where you are on the internet. That's the great thing about the internet. You can find someone to agree with you anywhere. Your own bias, your own political views, whatever it is, you're going to find a group of people or a community who agrees with you on those things.
It's led to Shrill and Dietland on TV. It's led to Nicole Byer becoming America's favorite television host.
But none of these people are people to be admired, though. I mean, she admires them. She thinks they're the greatest. She's talking about them like it's the greatest revolution since whatever. But those aren't people to be admired at all.
It has even led to shows like Orange is the New Black, which is full of fat, patriarchy-defying black and brown bodies of all genders.
See, I told you, there are plenty of fat people on TV or on Netflix or in movies or whatever. That's what I said in the first video. There's a lot of diversity right now, and diversity is great. I love diversity. I love that there are people being more represented in things. But I don't understand how less diversity equals trauma, as she was saying earlier.
This kind of media exposure benefits everyone. In the years since Laverne Cox burst on the scene, we've seen a heightened awareness of the struggles of trans individuals, especially the unique dangers that face Black trans women. And in addressing the American people, President-elect Joe Biden became the first ever to acknowledge trans citizens in his victory speech.
You know, Joe Biden hated homosexuality, hated trans people, and was against them. I'm not trying to get into politics here, but if you look at his views, he was against all of that just 10, 15 years ago. So holding Joe Biden up as some representation of the trans community or the homosexuality community or the LGBT whatever, he's not a good role model for you guys, because he used to hate you guys. And only when it benefited him politically as a representative of the Democrat Party did he start, I changed my mind about those things. But I don't think Joe Biden knows what century he's in currently.
Likewise, we can't ignore the effects of shows like Glee on LGBTQ youth. Glee set the stage for the It Gets Better movement. It created a culture that allowed queer youth to bravely own their own truth far sooner than the generations that came before them. These are not flukes. They're proof. When we see marginalized people positively reflected on screen, our capacity for empathy and compassion deepens.
I can sort of agree with that a little bit. If you see different kinds of people and they're thriving, you might be more likely to say, oh, okay, I understand that a little bit. Just like My 600-Pound Life, as much as we might find some of the scenes disgusting and we say that they take advantage of them, we don't like the shower scenes and stuff like that. Like, I hope shows like that help you see them in a different light. And my channel specifically, hopefully it helps you see that there is more to obesity than just people who have a lack of willpower. So having some representation out there isn't bad. I'm not trying to rail against representation or equality or things like that. I just don't understand how it's traumatic that there isn't enough fat people on TV for you, and how you're trying to make obesity seem like a positive thing and rail against society.
Our humanity expands to include their lived experience. With determined representation in entertainment, legislation and social norms change to make room at the table for people who have never before had a seat. So I ask you, what might it feel like to see yourself on screen when you've never before been told you are worthy of being seen? What would it feel like for the hero to look like you? To feel like you?
Can you imagine a fat Superman, like in his tight suit, trying to fly? Like, that would be ridiculous, right? You don't need heroes to look like you to feel positive in your own skin. Like, you are who you are. If you're happy being obese, then whatever. But I've personally said in another video, you can't be obese and happy. You can't. Like, you just feel miserable, you look miserable. Instead of changing yourself, you want to change society to reflect more of what you look like. Consequences be damned. I don't care what health concerns come with obesity. I just want people to look like me. I want people to be big like me. It's just ridiculous.
To have walked a day in your shoes. Because
Well, that's why I'm doing this channel. I want people to know what it's like to walk a day in my shoes. I want them to know the dangers of obesity. Yeah, I went through a lot of years where I had no problems at all, no health issues, but I think it gets worse, man. That's what I'm trying to do. If you want to walk a day in my shoes, you probably wouldn't be able to hold up the weight. I don't know how I was able to hold up the weight.
when I see fat women valued in entertainment, I feel like there is nothing that I can't do. There is no dream too big. There is no...
You can't play a Disney princess, can you? All right, that was mean.
Door that I can't open.
Or a door you can't fit through. All right. I'm done with the fat jokes. Okay.
We commit to telling everyone's stories. We can create the Hollywood that we want.
You're not going to change Hollywood. I'm sorry. You're not.
And the Hollywood that I want, well, it makes abundant room for every fat, black, brown, queer, trans, disabled princess or princex, making them feel like they deserve to be wrapped up in pearls and ribbons by birds and mice about to...
Yeah, that's entitlement. I think I'm done with this. There's only a few seconds left anyways, but that's pure entitlement right there. Pure entitlement. You want to make it the way you want it to be. It's got to look like you and represent you. It's all about you. It's stupid. Anyways, I hope you liked this video. I'm going to let it go. I don't know how long this has been, but I hope you like this. Please like, please comment, please subscribe. Please check out my About section for all the links to connecting with me. I really appreciate it. I love you guys. Have a great rest of your Sunday. I'll be back tomorrow with another video. God bless you.